today we're going to talk about atomic habits, and we're going to talk about a concept that Clear discusses, which I think is fascinating, and that is the concept of goals versus systems and habits, right? So in his book, Clear wants to make a case and says that, well, let me just give you a quote from Clear himself. He says, "My results had very little to do with the goals that I set and nearly everything to do with the systems that I followed." So what does this mean, right? Everybody says that the best way to get anything done in life is to have goals, right? I want to be the champion. I want to win the World Series. I want to win the bike race. I want to be the #1 music artist in the country. I want to have the #1 hit, right? Everybody says set goals. You have to set, you hear SMART goals, achievable, measurable goals. You hear these things, and everybody thinks that that is the way to success. Clear says that actually it's systems and not goals that make you successful. So let me give you an example. In sports, everyone wants to win the championship game, right? Does wanting to win the championship game make you attain it if your systems and your habits in place aren't very good? No. So if you want to win, what you need to do is set up the training, the recruitment of new players, and getting the best coaches, right? You need to set up a system in place that makes you a little bit better as you go on, and eventually you may or may not win the championship, right? Your system is the way to getting better, right? So if you're a coach, your goal might be to win the championship, but your system, the way you get the players and get your coaches and things, the way you run practice, that's the thing that's going to get you the championship eventually, right? So Clear says there are 3 problems with having goals as your only motivation and not being focused on habits and on systems. The first one is that winners and losers all have the same goal. I mean, think of it. Everybody wants to win the Olympic gold medal, and everybody wants to get the job, but the candidate who's out there in the waiting room with you wants to get that job as well. So it isn't the goal of winning that makes you successful. It's the habits that you put in place that get you there. So it isn't your goal of getting the job that gets you the job. It's the fact that you're well qualified and you put the work and the study in to get it. So winners and losers have the same goal. So focus on the systems that successful people have. The second thing is that achieving a goal is only a momentary change, right? So think about if you have a messy room, right? If I have a messy room and I say to myself, today I'm going to clean up my room, and I go in and clean up my room might be clean for a couple of days, right? But if I don't change why that room was messy in the first place, my habits, my system, if I don't develop a system to keep the room clean, it's going to just happen again, and those things will only last momentarily. Any success I had will only be momentary. The third problem with goals versus systems is that goals restrict your happiness, and I know this myself, right? What do you do once you achieve the goal? Well, it's over, right? Once you reach your goal, what happens next, right? You always say to yourself, once I get there, I'll be happy. What happens the next day? I remember when I was young, my brother-in-law and I used to go to the gym all the time, and we were lifting weights, and, we thought, well, what would be a good bench press, right? And we thought, well, if you can bench press your own weight, that's pretty good. So at the time, I weighed about 160 pounds or so. I was young, I could eat anything I wanted. I didn't put on weight. So we worked, and I finally got there and hit the 160 pounds on the bench press, and hey, that was great, right? I did it. So I set another goal. I said, well, 200 pounds would be pretty awesome, right? I remember some kid in high school who was pretty small. He could do 200 pounds. That was amazing, right? So I worked out with Kevin every day. We bench pressed a couple times a week, and eventually I did 200 pounds. I think I got up to 210 pounds, and then honestly, because I achieved the goal, it kind of wore off, right? I promised myself I would get there. That was my goal, and once I got there, what was my motivation to keep going, right? I should have worked on a system in place, or the habit of continuously getting stronger, right? Because that would have made me keep going to 215, 220. Who knows what I could be bench pressing now? Right now, I don't think I could bench press a gallon of milk. But, back then, I got to that goal. And once I got there, it limited my happiness, because once I got there, it was done. And this goes right along with another problem that Clear says people have with goals, which is many people find themselves reverting to their old habits once they accomplish a goal, right? So they set a goal of winning the game, they win the game, and then they go right back to their old way of thinking, right? Instead of working on the system that continuously helps them to improve, right? So try, if you would, instead of setting goals, think about the system you have in place to be successful. Fall in love with systems is what Clear says to do. And here's a quote from his book. He says, "None of this is to say that goals are useless. However, I found that goals are good for planning your progress, and systems are good for actually making progress. Goals can provide direction and even push you forward in the short term, but eventually a well-designed system will always win. Having a system is what matters. Committing to the process is what makes the difference." And that's from chapter 1 of his book, Atomic Habits. So I hope this helps. Remember, goals are important, but set some good habits and systems in place and see how that works. Next time we're going to talk about identity, and I think you'll see how this ties in and makes it a success. Okay? Have a great day, and don't forget to organize, study, and excel.